Okay, so this first system, 16 blocks, basically what this is if you imagine a grid of 4x4, almost like an Excel table, or if you consider 16 cubbies, basically I plan out my life this way. Everything is structured in the 16 grid. I don't necessarily over detail it with what's in every grid, but in every cubby, but let me explain this a little bit. So to bring something new into your life, you're always going to need space for it. I don't know if you've ever seen the example where someone has a jar on a table. Usually it's like a teacher or a professor, and they say something to the extent of, put the big rocks in first, then the small rocks, and then the tiny rocks, and then put the sand in, and those little pieces of grain will fill in the other spots. And as long as you have the big rocks in there first, the other things that are important in your life, or as long as you make sure the most important things are there first, well, then you'll be good to go, because all the little things that make your life busy will come in later. So everything needs space in your life. So the way I picture this is there are 16 blocks. Now that doesn't mean I can do 16 things, possibly, but I don't consider it for that. I consider it more so for the space that is allotted in my life. So for example, family and connections and friendship could actually take 3, 4, 5, or 6 blocks. But what I do know is if I join a weekly group, like a book reading group or a study group, or if I start doing a weekly call, or I start hanging out with someone once a week, these things I count as something that would take up one of these blocks at a minimum, especially if my time or investment or focus needs to shift into something new. So say, for example, work, that could take different amount of blocks because work is its own focus, its own shift. But if I go into something completely new, let's say it's a book study, and then I go and do something else where I'm serving my community in another component, but then I'm serving my community in a whole nother component somewhere else, well, these 16 blocks are what I have allotted. And this has helped me to really frame my limitation rather than over scheduling. I'm a type A personality. I am very driven, where I would like to say yes to everything. Even something that's just a week out, it feels like I have so much time a week from now where I'll say yes to almost anything. But this has really been something that allows me to know that before I even get to something, I already know my schedule's full. It's not a matter of if my actual schedule is full. It's that I know my priorities are maxed out because the 16 blocks represent my priorities. So let me just give you an example of what it looks like right at this moment. Right now, I would say family, friends, connection take up about 4 to 6 blocks. Then work takes about 4 to 6 blocks as well, which leaves about 10 to 12. That's about 10 to 12, so it leaves about 4 extra. In those 4 extra is where I will either do a hobby or relax because it's the end of the year, the beginning of the new year. I'm not trying to rush into the new year, or plan for the future. But I also leave space. So I don't have all 16 blocks filled out, maxed out right now. But I do know if I say yes to something in the middle of the week or some type of mentorship or program that is available, well, I'm also saying yes to filling one of those blocks. Even if it's just 30 minutes or 45 minutes a week, I know that that takes up more space for me. Now, that's my personal capacity. I know that I can possibly, there might be people who can do 20 blocks or even possibly 25 blocks. I think there is a max at that. And honestly, this is just a frame of mind. There's probably 20 different methods to this type of thinking, this type of priority list. But when you look at something like Greg McKeown's book on essentialism, his concept in the book where he starts, I think it's the introductory chapter, he talks about the word priority never used to have an S at the end. It never used to be priorities. There's no such thing as multiple priorities. So this is a way that allows me to know that it's not about one priority, but it's about I only have a certain capacity. So I don't focus so much on this is my top priority. I wouldn't say family is my top priority or work is my top priority. At the end of the day, if they're being challenged, it's always family that's going to win. But I don't like to think about it that way because it makes it's not really how it plays out in real life. How it plays out in real life is maybe on quote unquote Thursday, I spend some extra time with my family, and maybe on a Saturday afternoon, I might get a little bit of work done. I'm not like a workaholic or anything like that, but that is the flexibility I get with the 16 block system. One last thing I just want to mention, and this is more on the emotional side, and we're going to actually touch on this more in a moment. So I'm going to read this quote right now from a book called Letting Go by David Hawkins. I will probably quote him a few times because it is a book I'm reading right now that I think is so valuable and relevant to a lot of the topics we are discussing. Most people are too exhausted to bring a really high quality into their experiences unless the negative programs opposing them have been resolved. You have to make space to bring new things in. Another thing he says is repressed and suppressed feelings require counter energy to keep them submerged. Again, now this is like the more like mental health, emotional side. He talks about letting go and surrendering, but it takes energy. His quote again, it takes energy to hold down our feelings. It takes energy to hold on to so many things that we're doing. And I know this does get complicated when you add in, if you are, say, a parent, or you're caring for someone who is elderly, or your work is very demanding, or anything like that. There are a lot of factors that play into this where you might not get a chance to actually choose your 16 blocks. But in that, knowing that you can eliminate things, cut things out, and it actually makes space. It's not a matter of if you have enough time, it's about how much mental space you have for everything. I consider that I only have 16 blocks at any available time. So that's what I choose to structure my life around. Final note on this, I don't structure this system either around I can't. It's more about what I choose to do. So the 16 blocks are things I choose to be a part of. They're things I choose to step into. Even if some of them are responsibilities that are mandatory that I might not necessarily enjoy, everything in those 16 blocks I have chosen to put there. It's not that I have to, it's that I get to. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you're looking for a specific tutorial, please check out our channel. And if you can't find it, let us know in the comments below. What do you need help with to develop your site to make it effective and better for all your users? Finally, sign up for our newsletter. Our newsletter is a great way to stay up to date with anything happening on Squarespace, new features, new tutorials that we post, new features for SEO or updates on SEO, any of that stuff that will help you be more effective. Our newsletter is a great way to stay connected with that as updates come. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.